for this, you can go ahead and call me Mr. Hayes. Because now that school's out, I'm gonna go ahead and teach you some lessons. Well, actually, school's not out yet. It's out in 3 days. This Thursday. Today is Monday. Today's Monday. Today's Monday. So school will get out Thursday. This video should be up today, which is going to be Thursday, even though today's Monday. Okay. So here's the thing. This video is going to be a collection of 3 parts. Basically, it'll be life lessons. Stuff we don't learn inside of school. I would tell you you're going to learn a lot, but in reality,
you must have lost your marbles. You always were so...
Oh yeah, the only rule is that each part has to be under 2 minutes. Okay, now go.
We don't do the same drugs no more. We don't do the same drugs. Do the same drugs no more.
I don't know much about them personally because I don't do drugs, but I'm gonna teach you about them. Hit the overhead. This is you. This is school. For a while, you both are equal and happy. Everyone's happy. But then along come these 2 things called drugs and drug dealers. The type of people society wipes its butt with. But schools somehow managed to find a place for them. Pretty soon, the happiness and common sense of school is washed down the toilet, along with the drug dealers. There they go. Once the only 2 things left are you and the drugs, well, you go ahead and you light them up. You see, this represents drugs when you smoke. This also represents your future if you keep doing them. So don't do drugs, kids. You heard it. Oh, that smells kind of ironic, huh? As I was editing this segment, I realized I completely missed the 2 main things, and those 2 points that I wanted to make are the reasons why I don't do drugs myself. Reason number 1 is because when you take drugs, you lose control, and I'm a control freak. I always want to be in control. Along with losing control, you also lose your freedom. When you take drugs, you're confined to a set of chemicals that determine how you think, how you feel, how you act. And I don't like that. That's why I wanted to get across with this segment, and I hope I did a good job of that. Today I'm going to be talking about Malcolm X, or more specifically, a single quote. But first, who is Malcolm X? If you've never heard of Malcolm X, I don't blame you. I'd never really known much about him until I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. I don't know about you, I went to Torrance L, JHL, and now I'm at Torrance High. What is that, like 10 something, 9 years, 11 years I've been in school, and I've never heard of him from a teacher. I've never heard a teacher say the word Malcolm or the word X, let alone the 2 together. Malcolm X was a revolutionary. Not a reverend, but a revolutionary. You know, there was Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, but Malcolm X wanted none of that. None of this. He wanted to be a revolutionary. And to be honest, he succeeded. He made America mad. And most of this anger is due to one single sentence. Martin Luther King had the March on Washington where he spoke in front of Lincoln's memorial and he gave the eloquent speech.
I have a dream today.
Malcolm X had America's chickens are... Now that wasn't his only speech, don't get me wrong. He had the ballot and the bullet and a ton of incredible speeches that captured the sentiment of angry African Americans stuck in America, as Malcolm X put it.
Fathers weren't the pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us.
But what does mean? America's chickens aren't literally coming home to roost, are they? What Malcolm X meant is the hate, the atmosphere of bad vibes, as JJ might put it, that America was producing between slavery and neo-slavery incited the death of JFK. There's a story behind this. You see, by the time of Malcolm X's monumental speech, he was already starting to fracture with his organization. At the time of JFK's death, it was a shock for the whole nation. And the Nation of Islam, a community of black Muslims who Malcolm X represented as a spokesperson, wanted to keep Malcolm X silent. A, because Elijah Muhammad, the leader of the Nation of Islam, was jealous, and B, because they didn't want any white Americans or black African Americans to get mad. Because Malcolm X before this was already known as a hate monger. He didn't truly spread hate. As he put it, he simply held up a mirror that reflected the atrocities. Now, most of his speech wouldn't have been very big news, but when he got to the part of America's chickens, the whole crowd gets riled up. The reason for this is because it was true. What America had done to black African Americans and the colored people of the world actually happened. Lynchings happened. Slavery happened. Horrible atrocities occurred under the watch of America. So what Malcolm X was saying was the truth. Now, the main news media, they didn't take it this way. White America took it as a slight, as a threat from black America, from Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. This furthered the divide between Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam, but by that time, he was starting to think for himself, as he said. With this speech, with this quote, this monumental quote that we never learned about in school, Malcolm changed the entire sentiment of America, especially black America. He made us mad as hell. He made black African Americans angry. The long hot summer of 1964, well, that's a result of Malcolm X. Everything he'd been preaching up to that point, even before the long hot summer of 1964, which was full of deadly riots, Malcolm X was considered the angriest man in America. And to be honest, he was the angriest man in America, as he himself said. He was angry, infuriated at the horrible crimes whites had committed against blacks, that Americans had committed against Africans, now made into African Americans, only to be swiped of their culture and their beliefs. He was angry not only at white America, he was infuriated at black America with the African American attitude of non-violent protest. He thought that acting in violence against America, acting out, like what happened in the long hot summer of 1964, was simply self-defense. He said, if someone punched you in the face, would you get in trouble for punching them back? Would you take it? That's what makes Malcolm X so special. The audacity he had to stand up against an institution that for centuries had been corrupt, morally, spiritually, and physically, is incredible. That's what makes Malcolm X a true man. That's what makes him a leader, not only an African American leader, but a leader of an entire generation. Summertime is the time for excess. So do more, be more, see more. Splash around more. Turn in to out, go out before in, play on the ground, help look around while you still are around.